the committee if we have any declarations of interest.
Hello?
Do we have any declarations of interest from anyone today? No? Okay, thank you very much. I would like to move us on to the first item and the only item on our agenda, which is the erection of neighbourhood commercial centre, including Class 1 retail, Class 3 food and drink, and with potential supporting uses. This is a major development at a site to the north of Crossmill Industrial Estate, Glasgow Road, Barrhead. Now, can I please bring in at this point Mrs. McCartney? If you could please speak to the development or planning.
Thank you, Chair. Just if anybody wants the plan up, just say and we can put it up. Do you want the plan to go up just now?
Yeah, that would actually be quite helpful.
Okay. Graham, could you do your magic stuff? Okay.
Are you seeing the plan okay at the moment?
Yes, can see it.
Right, I'll leave that up until you ask me to put it down again. Obviously, while that's up, you can't see each other talking. So I'll leave that up until you ask me to put that down.
Thank you.
Thanks, Graham. So as you indicated at the introduction, this is a major application and it is for what we call a neighbourhood commercial centre on Glasgow Road, Barrhead. This is the site of the former Nestle factory on Glasgow Road, Barrhead, which was demolished about 10 years ago. About 4 years ago, the site was platformed and decontaminated, and a new roundabout was formed on Glasgow Road with a leg into the site to help facilitate the development. So what we essentially have here is it will be a new retail terrace. We will have two fairly large units, which is Unit A, right at the top of the picture with the green area at the side, which is a proposed garden centre, and that is to be a B&M. And the second unit, which is Unit B, Unit A, take that back. Unit A is the long narrow unit to the right hand side of the site, so that's the proposed Lidl site, and Unit B is the large site at the top of it with the green garden centre area identified beside it, and that's proposed to be the B&M. The other units are essentially don't have current tenants, but that's not unusual because they will go out to market it. The other unit that we are aware has an operator, is one of the drive-throughs is now confirmed as being a Burger King. So that's the kind of basic layout. You'll see that there's a lot of parking within the site as well, and the access road essentially goes up to the boundary of the site, and there is a further development site in behind this commercial centre, which will hopefully be developed in due course. So we've got quite a long report here, so I'm just going to run through some of the kind of major aspects to it. So in terms of the development plan, the development of this site is essentially supported. The site is identified as employment generating site, and within the Barrhead North Master Plan supplementary planning guidance, it endorses neighbourhood retailing, restaurant drive-throughs, as well as some further uses such as potential hotels, nurseries, offices, indoor, outdoor sports, etc. And hopefully some of these uses will come in as the site is marketed. The biggest issue I would suggest that we had in terms of this development is that the amount of floor space is larger than was anticipated with the neighbourhood centre and the master plan. So to ensure that any development here didn't have a significant adverse impact on the town centre, we asked the applicant to submit a retail capacity assessment, and we also, as a council, took on our own retail consultant to look at the retailing impact. So we cover this in quite a lot of detail in the report, and I think it's fair to say that the two retail impact assessment consultants did use slightly different ways of calculating the retailing impact. So as the planning service is obviously the one who determines the application, we have done quite a lot of our own assessment in relation to the development and the potential impact on Barrhead Town Centre. So what was extremely helpful in May this year was when we understood the main occupants of the site, which is obviously Lidl and B&M, and the Lidl store will be a relocation from the existing Lidl store up at the Westbourne area of Barrhead. So that's obviously quite a positive aspect there. We've also requested, and the applicants have complied with that request by reducing down the amount of Class 1 retail floor space within the development as well. They initially came in with some additional higher figures of convenience retailing and non-convenience retailing on the site. So essentially, the application has been reassessed since May this year. In terms of the impact that we consider will happen to Barrhead Town Centre, we consider that there will be a loss of 12% of all goods, 12%, which would equate to 12% convenience, which is food shopping, so a 12% impact on existing food retailers in the town centre, and 5% comparison, which is non-food retailing. However, it should be noted that that impact includes the impact on the existing Lidl store, which is obviously going to be relocated, and therefore the impact on the town centre and the impact on the other shops within the town centre would actually be less than the forecasted figures because the Lidl is moving.
Okay.
So just to keep going, there are a couple of other factors that we need to take into account when we're looking at Barrhead Town Centre. So obviously we've looked at all the units and we've looked at vacancy rates in the town centre, and I have to say that Barrhead Town Centre is actually very surprising. It has only 4, in 2019 it had 4 vacant units, which equated to 4.6% of the overall town centre floor space. So this is particularly low in comparison to other town centres, and it has been a consistent trait within Barrhead for some time. Now there's obviously particular issues there. I mean, I think it's quite clear that Barrhead people tend to shop in Barrhead. You probably find that residents from Neilson and Uplandmoor will go into Barrhead to get to the kind of Tesco's and Asda's within the town centre. So because of that, Barrhead Town Centre is actually significantly better in terms of retention of shoppers and shops than, say, for example, Paisley Town Centre or other similar sized town centres like Motherwell, Coatbridge, for example. In addition, the Barrhead Regeneration Project, which has been ongoing over the last kind of 15 years, has provided significant public sector investment in the town. And we obviously have the council offices there, and we have a large medical centre in the town centre, which obviously increases the footfall as well and helps increase the vitality and the vibrancy. And finally, the other point to consider is the population projections for Barrhead. So at this moment in time, our local development plan land audit identifies a further 1,614 new houses programmed up to 2031, many of which are in close proximity to the town centre. So that will increase local expenditure, both for food and non-food, within the town centre, this location. So using the council's retail consultant figures on population and expenditure, this could mean an additional, and this is a low estimate, £7.5 million of additional expenditure within the catchment area to be spent in Barrhead. Other aspects that we need to take into account in terms of the retail impact assessment is what we call leakage expenditure that leaves Barrhead, leaves the catchment area and goes elsewhere. Now that, when you look at the figures, that is mainly non-food. It's non-food shopping that people tend to leave Barrhead and go elsewhere. So that could be Paisley, that could be Silverburn, or it could even just be as simple as residents driving down to the B&M in Nits Hill. So with this proposed development on the Nestle site, we are anticipating that there'll be what we call a clawback of some of that expenditure. So some of that expenditure, instead of leaving the area, it will be spent within Barrhead, within this new site. So moving on, I think it's important to point out as well that over and above the redevelopment of a long-standing derelict site, this development will also have the economic benefits of, the report says, between 150 and 200 jobs within the local area. But with Burger King being identified as one of the hot food takeaways, they have a higher staff ratio. So those figures have actually increased to an estimate of between 190 and 210 local jobs. Well, not local jobs, but jobs that could be open to local people. Our Economic Development Service is supporting this application, and they have indicated that they will work with local residents and groups to ensure that training and support is given to local residents to compete for those jobs. So I think the retail impact analysis and the impact of this development on the town centre is probably the most important aspect to be looked at. So I hope that's given you a kind of oversight of that. So just to conclude, that it is considered that Barrhead Town Centre is a vibrant town centre with low vacancy rates. There'll be an increase in population, and the development will stop leakage in comparison shopping out with the catchment area. The development will complicate the existing retailing available in the town centre and will give positive outcomes through job creation for construction, supply chain and end-use jobs. So we are recommending approval subject to a number of conditions. The number is, we've got 15 conditions, and we're, as I say, recommending the application for approval.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. McCartney. Mr. Shanklin, can I ask that we get the full screen back at this point? If you could do that just before I bring in the committee.
Yes, will do.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to open this out to the committee, and if I could bring in Councillor Cunningham first, please.
Thanks very much, Chair. I'm very, very supportive of this proposal. It's long overdue. That site has been vacant, I think it must be nearly 30 years now. Jobs, to bring that amount of jobs to Barrhead would be fantastic. They're much needed here. And the shops that's been proposed so far and what I'm reading on the papers would be very, very welcome. It's on the Glasgow Road corridor, which will be a vast improvement, from what it is, what it has been in the past to now. And to get that on will be absolutely great for the people of Barrhead and for the jobs and the shops and everything else. It's just fantastic to see this on paper for to be approved. It's absolutely a great thing for Barrhead, and I very much welcome it. So I'm very supportive of it, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Convery, you wanted to come in?
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to basically echo what Councillor Cunningham has just said, that I want to say I'm delighted to find that the proposal has eventually been brought forward, and I'm quite impressed with the plans. That's the first time I've actually seen them, and I strongly believe that this site will be an asset to Barrhead and the surrounding areas. It will not only convert, but can only be described as wasteland at the minute, into thriving commercial units and bring with it job opportunities for the residents of Barrhead. So I'm the same as Councillor Cunningham. I'm very supportive of this, and it has been a long time coming. And I'm also pleased to hear that the impact on the town centre will be less than anticipated, so that was good. I suppose the only question I do have is why only the area marked in red, and why not the whole site? Because there's actually a part of the site at the back that hasn't been incorporated. So I was just wondering about that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. McCartney, are you wanted to respond to that question, or is there any information available?
Yes, I can respond to that. The site at the back hasn't as yet been actively promoted because we need to have an access into it. So this development will actually provide the access from the Glasgow Road up to the back. So once we have the access in place, then the council property team will probably go out and start to market the site. But I don't have all that information, to be honest with you. But I can get it for you if you need it.
Councillor Convery?
Yes, it's just I know that because I have a unit down there for Helping Hand, and there is access to that back part that's at the units that's there, so there is an access.
Okay, thank you very much. Provost, you want to come in, and Councillor Miller as well?
Thank you, Chair. Oh, sorry. Who's first?
Let
us go.
Age before beauty.
Ah, yeah, I know. Beauty and the Beast, that's it. Right. We won't go into that one this morning, it's too early. Anyway, I really just wanted to echo the comments that have been made and be very supportive. I mean, we've been trying through the various Barrhead regeneration committees over the decades to get a much nicer entrance into the town coming up from Paisley. And I hope, I mean, we haven't seen, other than the map sort of thing, but we haven't actually seen an artist's impression of it. But I would imagine it will visually improve the access to Barrhead, as well as the very positive, job creation and such like, which I'm sure all support. So I think it's overdue and it's a very welcome development. What I wanted just to confirm, though, was the sort of timescales of it. When we see this progressing, when we think it's likely to be finished, when do we think these units will become operational and such like, just from one point of view to get a sense of when this is likely to be in place. And the other thing, the only thing perhaps, and I know it's not strictly relevant to the planning, but I did wonder what would happen to the original Lidl site. I was a wee bit surprised that Lidl were the chosen for the supermarket, given that they're there in the town anyway. Do we create a derelict site there, or are we confident that we can market it? I mean, I know it's not strictly relevant to the planning application that we're looking at this morning, but I would just like a wee sense of, are we going to create a kind of blight in the middle of Barrhead with an empty and rotting store there?
Thank you very much. Provost, can I, Mrs. McCartney, I'm just going to bring in Councillor Miller, and then we'll bring those questions to yourself. Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Chair. I was actually more or less going to say what Councillor Fletcher was saying about the impact in the town centre. Glad to hear what Gillian had said about the impact in the town centre. It's going to be a lot less than initially thought. But what Councillor Fletcher said about the original little store is right enough. I also noticed on the thing, developer contributions are not necessary in this case. I wonder why. The other thing is, it's just a pity the map we've seen earlier on. It's a pity we didn't see that map in the papers, because you know, it was very, very informative seeing that map, only seeing it now, because I noticed for the first time there's maybe 2 accesses, and one directly from the Glasgow Road and another access from the roundabout. I mean, wholly, I'm totally supportive of the whole thing, and as Jim says, it has been a long time coming. So yeah, I'm delighted to see it. Okay, I realise there's going to be maybe a housing development further down the line, but that's for another day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Miller. I would just ask quickly, if you have spoken and no longer wish to speak, if you could lower your hand on the screen. If not, I'll bring you in. Gillian McCartney, are you wishing to touch on any of those questions?
Yes, please, thank you. Just to take the points one by one, and I hope I've got them all. In terms of the frontage, the frontage will be re-landscaped. They will keep some of the existing landscaping, but they're certainly going to improve, you know, the kind of look of the site as you drive by. In relation to the Lidl site, the existing Lidl site is probably, I don't know, 20 years old, to be honest with you. So it's quite a small site within there, and the access to it is not ideal. You can only go in one way, and then you have to go all the way out at the Tesco. So Lidl have been looking for another site in Barrhead for quite a while. The existing Lidl site is within the town centre, so I don't know whether that particular unit would be helpful for many other retailers, but notwithstanding that, the site could be sold by Lidl, and what they normally do is they would look to sell it for a non-food use, so that there isn't any further competition for them. So that could be suitable for any other form of retailing. It could be suitable for town centre housing. It could be suitable for affordable housing. So there's quite a lot of opportunities there on the site, and I don't think, because of its location, I don't think it will maybe hang about for long or become derelict, so hopefully not. In terms of the development contributions that Councillor Miller mentioned, we didn't take any financial contributions, Councillor Miller, but what we have secured is upgraded access into the waterworks site, which is adjacent to it. So footpath links to the waterworks site, and footpath links to the Levern Valley walkway as well, from the access into the site as well. So we've considered that to be development contributions, and obviously we consider that along with the significant benefits that will come out of the development as well in terms of employment. Did I get everything there? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that was. Thank you very much. Councillor McLean, you're wishing to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's just to echo everyone else's comments. I think it's a fantastic idea that will bring a big boost to the community, jobs-wise. As Councillor Convery says, it's been a wasteland for quite a few years now. This in the Glasgow corridor, and it will be a great boost to the community. I can't see any problems with it so far. And I think planning have done a really good job in getting the papers to us, although I would echo Councillor Miller's comments that if we could see these drawings when we get the papers through, it would be a big help. But no, I think it's fantastic. Well done, everybody.
Thank you very much, and I agree. Yes, that would have been helpful to see that plan beforehand. Does anyone else in the committee wish to come in at this moment?
Me.
Mrs. McCartney, are you wishing to?
No, it's myself.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Cunningham. Yes.
Chair. I think we're all very much in support of this proposal. Like everyone has said, it is a great thing for Barrhead, and I would like, and if we can, to kind of try and wind it up, and I would propose to grant.
Thank you very much. I will take silence as that we are all in agreement, unless anyone is otherwise minded. Councillor Swift, you wishing to come in?
Thank you. I would happily second Betty's proposal, because I think it sounds like a good and worthwhile development.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunningham has moved and it's been seconded. Can I pass on? Sorry, Mrs. McCartney? Oh, you're muted. Your audio is muted.
Hello, hi, sorry about that. Just Provost, I didn't pick up on your timescale issue. So the timescale for the development is to start by spring next year. So just to clarify that. And just before we move to can I ask for a clarification to be noted for condition 16? Condition 16 says, for the avoidance of doubt, a maximum of 1693 square metres of convenient floor space is identified. I would like that changed to 1693 square metres net sales floor area. It's a very pedantic point, but it's one that could be important.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That's me.
Is the committee minded to accept that change to that condition? Thank you. Can I pass to Mr. O'Neill, please?
Thanks, Chair. Obviously, Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Swift, has actually moved that the application be approved subject to the conditions, and obviously it would appear the committee's in agreement with that proposal. So on that basis, the application be approved subject to the conditions and subject to the minor amendment to condition 16.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes our business for the Planning Applications Committee. I just want to thank everyone for your time this morning, and thank you very much. We'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Betty Cunningham.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Put it in here.